Okay, so in the last video we talked briefly about opening up fantasy grounds. We're going to have a look at player character creation. So you can see here some I've created before. I can import a character file that I've downloaded. These are XML files which you can edit, and this is the edit list, which basically lets you delete them. What I'll do is I'm going to show you how to delete first. So you press the tab, you get this little line here, and that's if I delete this, it will just delete Joe Crow. Confirm, and Joe Crow is gone. Okay, so I get out of the editing. Here we go. So let's create a new character from scratch. So I'm going to assume that this isn't about so much of how you create a character, and we're not going to go into the ideals and all that. So it's not really going to be talking about standard array versus rolling for characters. This is assuming that you've got all that worked out and you've got your sheet and your bits and pieces, and this is really what your character sheets look like in this one. You can see here we've no icon here, and I'll show you how to upload your own ones. So this is showing you can ones you bought or characters that you've loaded up. These are just standard JPEGs. So we'll have a look at this. We'll take this one. So this now gives that character his icon. You can give their name, click in, name, and we got rid of Joe Crow. Whoops. We got rid of Joe Crow, so we will give Joe the Crow is back again. Okay. Inspired or not inspired? It's a DM thing. So the first thing you'll probably start off with is modifying your stats here, and you might say give a 16 to strength and a 15 to dexterity, 14 here, a 12 there, and a 10, giving an 8 to charisma. Okay, and you'll see automatically here it pulls in the plus 2s. And remember, these are just simply calculated. You take this value, subtract 10, divide by 2, and round down. You can see also here it gives your basic armor class, your initiative is plus 2, and there's nothing else filled out there. And here are your saving throws. So the first thing you're going to probably want to do is pick out what your race are. So you can see there's a races tab here, and this will show, now you see there's doubling up here because I've got two modules loaded. There is the standard and the basic rule players. So if I get rid of one of them, those come from there, and these ones come from here. If you have the player's handbook, you'll see that here. If you select all, you'll get all of them. So you might see 2 or 3 listings of them. So this is a shortened list because it's not the player's handbook. These are just the free ones. So let's say we will take a Dragonborn. And you can open up there and it tells you about Dragonborn and its traits and ability score increases and what they do and all that sort of stuff. Or you can just drag Dragonborn over to race and it drops it in. Simples. So, what type of a Dragonborn are they? Well, you can go into here and you can see ability score increases and all that sort of stuff, and others, and age, and all that. Your Dragonborn grows quickly. So there's all the little sort of info there, which is quite nice. So let's quickly, so we've selected race, and well, what else? Classes. Oops, so one tab. One nice thing is some things are double click, some things are single click, and that can be very, when you're casting spells, they're actually single click, and fighting with weapons are double click, so you can end up firing the same spell twice. Okay, so here's our basic set of spells. So let's say he's a Dragonborn, or she is a Dragonborn sorcerer. So we bring over class, and we go in. And then it's going to say, well, hang on a second now, you have certain things. Dragonborn sorcerers are allowed to do Arcana, Deception, Insight, and it says there's 2 skills from the list in which your character will become proficient. So, we're not really thinking this through. Dragon has to be Born has to be Intimidation. And we OK them. So they're going to give us proficiencies in those. So the other thing we want to do is we never selected a class. We selected class but not a level. So double clicking in here and we can see, oh, level 1, level 1. So if we were leveling up, we could choose these here, XP and all this. But this is a character from scratch, so they're going to be a sorcerer level 1. Background. Okay, the player's handbook and other resources give you some sample backgrounds, and they do modify your character, and they might give you extra bits and pieces. So here's your backgrounds. Background tab here opens them up. So we'll say this Dragonborn sorcerer is also a folk hero. So we drag over folk hero, and again, if we click on this square here, it tells you about folk hero and any other special rules. Rustic hospitality. Now, it doesn't necessarily populate these, and you'll have to remember these, but you can at any stage, you can drag over to your notes, you can drag any of these or maybe you can't. No, you can't drag those notes over. I thought you could. So you'll have to remember these or make little notes of these. You can see it's quite hard to see that there. You'll notice our armor class is getting buffed as we went. So that's our background. We can drag in our background, and that's really the main tab here. Skills and like are the usual, so we can see depending on your character you might be able to choose extra proficiencies or whatever, and it calculates the modifiers here for you. And if for some reason or other your athletic stats, if your character or something you're designing, you're going to have your athletics based on dexterity, well, you can change that here and it'll just toggle through them all. Abilities, well, these have been pulled in from both your races and your classes and common and your languages, and you may be able to add more of these or not, depending on your character or your own story or whatever else. So you can go into the edit. So let's add another language here, and we'll say this guy can speak. Now, you can find it over here, or we can type in Elvish. And we don't need that one. Sorry, that's because I returned there, and we're finished editing here. So we can add in languages. So where are we? Abilities. So you can add in proficiencies. Again, if you want to modify any of these directly, you can either drop in features from your menus that you've opened here. So say feats, grappler. Okay. Or you can manually add in this feat here. Let's say give ourselves another feat, and we can say jump tall buildings. Don't have to press enter and just come out of the edit there. If you press enter, you just do get another line, which isn't a bit annoying. So you can add them in manually, or you can take the ones that are profited to you. Obviously, with the player's handbook bought, you get an awful lot more of them. Inventory. So this is your equipment. Again, there's an items tab here, and you can see I've got all selected here, so it's duplicating them. So we can have magic items. So let's say what will they have, and we're going to give this individual, again this is going to be really designed down to we're just pulling out stuff. A cart, he has a cart, carriage. Weapons, let's have a look at them. You can see here this brings up the weapons tab, so we're going to give them a club. So you just drag it over onto the equipment tab, and we'll say they'll have a dagger, and a hand axe. These tabs here show whether they are equipped, not carried, so you've left them back in your lodgings, or carried but they're in your backpack. And this can be handy for when we're actually using them in a battle one, so that you don't get accidentally confused and use your wrong battle axe or whatever else. So that's our inventory, our equipment that we're carrying. Again, if you want to manually add something, because it doesn't, if you're playing some sort of a cyberpunk one and you want to give them some sort of a cyberpunk weapon, you can go into edit list here and you can manually click up here and you can type in whatever your weapon name is, and then you just save it. So las cannon. Okay, now it has no stats, and it doesn't have any weight here, so you can give it a weight if you wanted. So hover over it, you just click, you don't get a cursor or anything like that, and you can say it's a weight of 5 if you want to, and this all feeds into these weights here, and that saves it, and you're carrying it. So now you're actually carrying 3 things. So your club, dagger, hand axe, which is a bit silly. Anyway, this is just for demo. Notes are notes, personality traits, ideals, bonds, flaws, all that sort of stuff. Log is a log. And actions, this is the fight interface, and as you can see at the moment it's saying here standard and group, so this is displaying everything you have. So if you look back here to our, sorry, my fault, inventory would be the one that says inventory. I'm going to put the club in my backpack and the dagger in my backpack, and I'm going to come back to actions, and you'll see they're still here. Okay, the club, the daggers, I've actually, because there's probably a throwing dagger, it's used as in melee combat. If you're going into combat, and the way you do this is you go, I want to use that weapon, so you double click on the dice here, and it rolls the 17, plus it adds in all the modifiers that you've gotten for it, that you're proficient in from your skill. So you can see 17 plus 6, that rolls a 23. The problem is here, there are 4 or 5 weapons here, and unfortunately our las cannon isn't shown, but there's 5 weapons up here, and the las cannon isn't shown because we haven't put in any dice rolls or anything for it. It can get confusing. When you click to the combat mode, you'll see that's reduced to 2. And the reason for that is if we go back to our inventory, well, forgetting the las cannon, we have our hand axes here. So that's the only thing in our hand. So when we go to actions, the only thing that we have available is our hand axe. So we can either throw it or we can use it in melee. If I go back to inventory and I say, as an action, I've removed my hand axe and I put it in my backpack and I take out my club. And now when we go back to actions for our next round of combat, the only thing we have available is our club. So this is great because it stops you suddenly accidentally using your wrong weapon. So I double click on it, it's 19. I never get these sort of good rolls, plus my 6 modifier. And similar it says, I do not have any spells prepared, nor do I have any cantrips, so none of them are shown. If I go back to the standard one, it shows all my available weapons. Very quick overview of it. We'll talk more about using the spell slots and the spells in a different video. Thanks very much.